Well, hello again everyone and welcome to the latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly. And I'm always excited when people come into the office and see me and it's not just on a Zoom screen. And I'm thrilled today that Hedda Felin, who's the CEO of Hurtigruten, and Anthony Daniels, who is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Hurtigruten, have joined me here. So welcome both of you. Straight in from Oslo this morning.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, it's great to have you here, and it's a big week. We heard from Daniel, the Hurtigruten Group CEO, yesterday about some changes in the company. Obviously, we knew that you'd split the two brands a while ago, but now they've got new names, and so you are now Hurtigruten only. And tell us what that means for you.
Yes, so now we're taking the split to the next level. That means we split sales offices, we split functions, and of course the new brand, which is a strengthening of the brand actually for us, because we have been Hurtigruten Norway, and Hurtigruten means the coastal route on the Norwegian coast.
Right.
So it fits very well that we are now Hurtigruten only from now on. Yes, big news this week.
Okay, and we're going to focus on your side of the business, but
Yes.
in case you haven't seen the other interview, the other side of the business is Expedition, and that's going to be called HX. And we can hear all about that in other videos. But today is all about you guys. And you're over in the UK because it's a really important market for you. So we're going to come on and talk about that. But can we just focus on the product itself? Can you explain the number of ships and a little bit more about what it is you do, so people who perhaps haven't sold Hurtigruten before know exactly what it is?
Yes, so lovely to be in the UK. We have a strong relationship with the UK guests, with the UK market, extremely important for us, and Anthony will talk more about that. You know, we have been sailing on the Norwegian coast for 130 years, so it's a long history and legacy. Very important legacy to take care of. Very proud of this deep expertise of the Norwegian coast. So we can say, without being too modest, that we are the expert of the Norwegian coast, because we have sailed all through all these years. We have 9 ships now in Hurtigruten, so 7 ships sailing the traditional classic route, as most people know as Hurtigruten. Starting from Bergen, all up to the coast of the top north of Norway to Kirkenes. So that's a classic Hurtigruten.
And is that always the same duration, or can you do that in different...
You can take half voyage.
Okay.
You can also take shorter part. We see that most guests from the UK, they prefer to take either half voyage, so Bergen to Kirkenes or Kirkenes to Bergen, or they prefer to take the full.
Right.
It's different if you go southbound and northbound. You have 34 ports. So you really get the authentic Norway, and I think that's the unique part of the coastal product that you cannot do with any other classic cruise ship, I would say.
Okay, well I was going to say that because obviously there's lots of cruise operators out there who offer cruises to the Norwegian fjords, but what is it then that's, I mean, you mentioned the number of ports there and the authenticity, so can you just give us a flavour of what, what's so unique about what Hurtigruten does?
We'd love that, because cruise ships, in average, when they sail to Norway, they have 4.1 ports in average that they stop to.
Okay.
The classic route has 34 ports, and because we bring freight and goods and post to these ports, you get to the smallest port that no one else can access, so you get the most authentic Norway. That's a special part. Of course, because we are this partner of the coast, we also use only local produce where we can, so 80 to 90% of local food, so you get the best taste of Norway. And every port, you get the specialty from that port, and you actually get to experience Norway through the taste and the history and this deep knowledge that we have. So beautiful landscape, the experts of the coast are on board, and you taste the best of Norway.
I was going to say some of the crew, or a lot of the crew, are from the region, is that right?
We recruit from the coast. Our crew are Norwegian speaking, or Norwegian they can have the nationality they want, but they have to speak Norwegian. Very many of them come from the coast. They have been with us for generations, so they can really tell the personal stories. So you say when you come on board, you leave as friends and family, and that's quite special.
Yeah, that sounds lovely. Well, let's bring you in, Ant. Otherwise, you'll be sitting there a long time. Well, we know Hurtigruten a lot for the Northern Lights, don't we? And that's obviously one of your absolute classic things. So that's obviously a big focus. But are you going to develop the product beyond that? I mean, there's a lot already, but what else are you going to plan to do?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, Northern Lights is where really, from a UK point of view, we really grew in the industry. And that started quite a few years back before I started in the company. But what we see is there's a real demand to come during the summer months. Now, if you look at our business units in, say, Germany or France or mainland Europe, summer's the peak. That's the kind of area. And we've got to make sure we can find that route. So what we're now doing, now that we've got that dedicated resource, we're kind of going back to zero a little bit and having another fresh look and going, what are the opportunities? What are the consumers asking for? And what we're seeing a big demand for is touring, group travel, themes, specialist activity. And we know that actually from a destination, Norway offers something all year round. So we don't want to be just reliant on our peak, which is winter and the Northern Lights. We know there's opportunities. Yeah. So from a trade point of view, it's opening the door for new people that haven't engaged with us yet.
Okay, so people might start with a Northern Lights cruise, I guess, but then you're saying you're going to expand the product. So when you say touring, I guess to offer a full Norwegian experience where the cruise is just part of that.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned groups there. So tell us what other things they might be able to do then if they took a tour as well as the cruise. For example.
Yeah, I mean, we do already offer a small amount. So for instance, following the Midnight Sun, where you can do Scandinavian touring. So actually you're going to do a 3-week tour that covers multi countries, and part of that is 6 nights on board the ship. So we know that's a different demographic that really want to get closer to the local communities, as Hedda's rightly saying. And the beauty of the product is actually around, and we can offer that. So you're right, people will come and see us in the winter, brought in by the Northern Lights, and go, actually, this is a product I didn't realise operates all year round, and they come back for different seasons. So really, it's a case of whenever you come to Norway, you choose your season, and we're there.
Okay, all right. Well, let's come on in a minute and talk about the demographic and who we should be targeting. But before we move on from the product, you mentioned you had 7 ships doing the classic route. But what are the other 2 doing?
Yeah, I'm really eager to talk about the new routes as well, because we always develop, although we have done this for 130 years, we always develop both the product on the classic, but also we wanted to have to develop further into something special for those that maybe have done the classic route or that want more time to experience Norway.
Yeah.
So that was the thinking behind the North Cape Express and the Svalbard Express. So in those 2 routes, in the North Cape Express, you get to see Oslo as well, which has been a huge wish from our guests. Yeah. Once they come to Norway, they want to see the capital.
Of course.
So now we will, from October, have a ship, a beautiful refurbished ship, Scandinavian style, outside of the Munch Museum and the Opera House, and seeing the southern part of Norway up to the North Cape. So that's special.
Yeah.
And in the summer season, or spring, summer, and early autumn, from Bergen to Svalbard. So that's the newest product. What is different from the Coastal Express is more time in port, very much so. So instead of fewer ports, so you have one full day in each port.
Okay.
So for those that want to have more time to experience Norway, not only from the seaside, but really see Lofoten, you have 6 to 8 hours in Lofoten.
And so then would they do shore excursions that you would arrange where they get more sort of immersed into the I guess the destination.
Absolutely.
And the culture.
And different choices, whether you want to do more cultural or you want to do more sportive with hiking, or you want to combine more with tasting, for instance. So a choice for everyone, but more time to really experience also the shore side of Norway. Okay. So that's been very successful. Launched last year. First trip was June this year. Full ships to Svalbard. Also quite a lot of happy UK guests. So good to see that.
Okay.
And very eager to see now the next season, when we have a full season of both the North Cape Express, Svalbard Express coming out. So that's the newest product.
Newest product, okay, and selling well already.
Selling well, and fantastic guest feedback. So I'm very pleased to see that. The food is taken up a level. So
on the 2 express ships.
Yes.
Okay.
So I would say, it's based on what we know, our DNA, what we know best most, but really taken up one level, more time in port, and upper premium in terms of experience. Okay. So fantastic feedback, and looking forward to getting more UK actually guests experiencing this.
That's Anne's job.
That's his job.
No pressure, Anne. Before we move on though, you mentioned, Hedda, that one of the ships was refurbished, but let's just talk about your fleet for people who don't know. Are all the ships the same? I think some of them are quite new, and just explain what's the onboard experiences like and the difference between the different ships in your fleet. I don't know who wants to, do you want to take that?
So I'll start. I mean, from the coastal product, there are a lot of similarities. There's still differences, and I think one of the important messages to get across is you're going to find everything you want on there. It's incredibly comfortable, very chilled out, relaxed kind of atmosphere, great food service, great kind of public areas and lounges, because obviously the way our product works, it's not always what's on the ship, it's what's outside of the ship. So we kind of make it as comfortable as you possibly can, and great accommodation, and as we said, the service levels are fantastic, but we're very different to many other products out there. And I think from a trade point of view, it's identifying, and I know we'll come back to it later, about demographics of the client base that you want. You know, so the ships themselves, I think the largest from a leisure point of view takes around 350 guests. So compared to traditional cruise, nowhere near them. You know, so that kind of hands-on, small experience of getting into places that you can't get to is the really valuable, whilst you've got all the comforts that you want from the ship point of view.
And actually, Daniel, when we interviewed him, he talked about how your brand is very welcomed. You know, because you can get into these smaller places, you go to see some places that the bigger ships can't get to, and it's a real feeling that they want you to come in, and they want, because obviously you're bringing their post and you're moving goods and things. So I mean, I think that's what we need to get across is it's a working ship, but people, they're still going to get, you talk about the service, it's not necessarily luxury, but they would get a really high quality service. Like, just to get that across, because people don't know necessarily where to pitch it.
Yeah, and I think authentic travel is the key word. You get the most beautiful part and the most authentic Norway. And I mean, people ask, is it luxury? For very many, yes, because it's pure, it's sustainable, it's so local, the food is up there, it's very personal. But is it luxury in terms of butler service? No, it's not. You know, so, but for those of our guests that are, very many of them have traveled a lot, they know what good travel is, they want something to be more personal, they want space, they want it clean, fresh and very authentic, then that is pure luxury. So for me, it's what luxury will be in the future. Okay. Also because of the sustainability aspect, which is, as you can explain it as the local part, we are welcome in each port. Also because we use experts from that port. So we buy the goods and the produce and the food locally. We don't bring it as very many cruise ships. They have all their food on board and they have an all-inclusive product on board. We have that relationship with the suppliers. We have several hundred suppliers on the Norwegian coast only working for us.
Brilliant.
That are from Lofoten and that are from Senja, that are from Finnmark, and they give their expertise in terms of guiding, in terms of excursions, and in terms of the produced food and drink. Yeah. So that is very special.
Absolutely. And let's pick up then and talk about sustainability. I mean, you're saying that you think this will be what people want. It will be the new luxury because they'll want this sort of authentic, pure experience. I mean, you talk about the communities and that's all part of sustainability, but what else are you doing? I know you're trying to get emission-free vessels by 2030, so how are you doing on that sort of route? And tell us a little bit more about your sort of sustainability ambitions.
Yeah, so I can start with the fleet, because you also asked about the fleet. The entire fleet is refurbished. You feel the soul and the history and the legacy in the fleet, but we have taken care of that in the refurbishment, so that it's classic in a way, but they're all refurbished. Then the last few years we have had the entire fleet up to an environmental upgrade program. So that's extremely important for us to do as much as we can with the current technology to reduce emissions and for the sustainability part. So half of the fleet is hybrid. And battery packages which has been a great success. Both fuel reduction is down and less noise and really new technology on board. Yeah. But the entire fleet has gone through all the measures on where can we reduce emissions, from how we paint them to how new propellers to NOx emission reduction systems on all the ships. So it's we have maximized what we can with current technology, and then we have also designed, and you were pitching into that, the C0 project, which is really the future, because we want to, in the future, of course, we want to sail emission-free, and I have to say that I think the travel and tourism and cruise industry is very slow when it comes to sustainability. So, and we want to be more concrete. Yeah. So we want to just not say we will be zero emission in 2050. We wanted to push the industry and see how is it possible to actually design from scratch a new ship zero emission?
And why are they? You're saying the whole industry is slow. Is it because the technologies aren't there, or they just haven't prioritised it enough?
It's about prioritization, because what we have seen is that technology is there. So we asked independent researchers to design together with us a zero emission ship, and we said, is it possible by 2030? Not 2050, but 2030. If you start from scratch and you think totally new, technology neutral, they have assessed all kind of technology, and the concept is there, the technology is there, and the partners are there, and we would very much like to take the lead here, of course.
Yeah. So are you ordering ships like that?
So now we are, I mean, there are a lot of phases until the ship is built, but I'm very positive, because I see that the technology is actually there. It is possible. We have 14 partners in Norway signed up. We have a dialogue with Norwegian government, and they have already committed some of the funding, because then they could be, we could be in the lead.
So you'll be
together.
subsidised by the government to be the first line to bring out these zero emission ships.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but it's important to
but
start with what we have.
You haven't made a firm order yet for any
No,
at the moment?
have not an order yet. But the concept is ready, design is ready, partners are ready. So super exciting.
And that's the way you would grow. So I mean, and presumably you do want to grow this side of the business. You've got 9 ships, and that is the plan, is it, to have more, and there's room for that?
Yes. We see there is room for that now, but we take one step at a time. The 7 classic ships, they really perform well. Now we have the 2 new routes, Svalbard Express, North Cape Express, with a successful launch, so that's very positive. And we have 1 ship sailing from Germany to the Norwegian coast.
Okay.
As
so if you got the new ships, would they be in addition to the fleet, or would they replace some of the existing vessels?
They would probably start off being in addition, and then we would need to gradually change out the fleet one by one. But it's important to use what we have first, I mean, from a sustainability perspective. So that's why we wanted to upgrade the entire fleet first. So do what we can with current technology. Don't wait for the perfect solution, but always push to find it. So
and if you have more capacity, will it go on the classic route or the express routes, or will you have new areas that you, is there still parts of Norway that you can still explore?
This launch of the Svalbard Express, North Cape Express has been so good, so we definitely see potential for having more ships doing that.
Okay, all right, great. Well, you've got a lot to do. I'm
just sitting there thinking of my targets.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's come on to that. Let's first of all talk about the demographics. Just like, who is this perfect for? You know, who do you see the most business coming from, or are there sort of parts of the market that you could go after that you're not perhaps getting enough of at the moment?
Yeah, and that's really interesting. I've been at the company 8 years now, and it's when I first joined, and without boring anybody, but my background's very cruise, and I've gone through lots of different companies. But when I came to Hurtigruten, the top 10 of our agents was very different to what you'd see everywhere else. You do see a couple of agencies in there that kind of cross brands and cross products, but the great thing for me that I saw, there's some real diverse kind of product specialists and touring specialists that really, that's where we see the growth. From day one, we've always said that we're not cruise, but in the sense of you've got to change your mindset about what the guest experience is going to be on board. We don't have casinos and nightclubs and captain's cocktail parties. That's not our bag. So we've got to make sure we can find that right client that fits. And that even transcends into the iconic products, because even though the itinerary on paper, you look at it and go, well, actually, it's longer days at port, it's more inclusive, it's an upgraded ship, it's an upgraded program, it's still not cruise in the essence of what you see from a traditional cruise. So one of the messages through to our trade partners is very much, don't just look at the ship, it's what the experience is going to bring, and it's finding those clients that want the immersive experience, want to really kind of get involved with the communities and understand what there is different out there. So that's kind of the nuance that we've got to do to help with my targets.
And so at the moment, I'm guessing it's sort of more mature, maybe retired people, couples. Is that what your target or your key market is? I mean, you mentioned that you want to go for more groups as well. So how can you grow this market?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, from a kind of a groundswell, a larger amount, it's going to be the retired guest that has a bit more time in their hands. But back to one of Hedda's points, the great thing, certainly with the coastal program, the heritage product, is so flexible. You can be on there for a day. you can be on there for an afternoon or for 2 days, or you can do the full 12 days. So actually one of the areas that will probably come in phase 2 of our kind of a review of the product is how can we target a younger group that's probably more active, that wants to go and do some walking or mountain biking or water sports or all these kind of elements, and tie it into a program during the seasons that work for that. And then back to the groups, it's people that want to be engaged with wildlife or winter hiking or those kind of...
You mentioned, themed cruises.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, certainly from a cultural point of view, and the food is so important that, over 80% of our product is fresh. So food is an area that we want to kind of do a lot more research on. How do we get those groups on board?
And will you then target different agents to sort of, drive this growth?
Absolutely.
So let's move on to that then in terms of your trade strategy. What's your plan? Can you reveal it here? What's your plan?
Well, I can give you the top line. I mean, we've just reset the team, so we've got an excellent team. I'm really proud of the guys that are working with me for both the sales and marketing unit from the UK and Europe, Middle East opportunity. And it's kind of stage 1. Keep it simple. Let's get the foundation right. Let's reset, as I said earlier, and then we start to grow and start going right for next year. What products can we start testing in the market, and what's the demographic from an agent point of view? Is it our traditional agent? Probably part of that, but where are these new ones? And some of the groups that we're involved in, the likes of ATAS, absolutely is an opportunity for them to look at us as a different opportunity in the summer months. It's not just, we know Hurtigruten for Norway in the winter and the Northern Lights. What about those that like doing Norway touring or Scandinavian touring, or they might like city breaks, or they're the ones that we want to start appealing to. And obviously the challenge that we've got, we're a small voice with a small team. How do we grow that quickly or get that message out? So we've got to be quite smart on how we can do that and work with key partners to do that for us.
One of my questions was, would you stay part of ATAS, given that the other side of your business is the more expedition side of things, and one might think they would want to be part of ATAS, but you're saying very much, touring and adventure agents who have got those kind of clients are very much still your target.
Yeah, and it's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, we've got to have that conversation between internally and with ATAS and Claire, and make sure that the demographic for us as a company fits. And we don't want to just be, because we're there, it works. But from an agency point of view, that's absolutely an ideal opportunity for us, the ATAS membership, because the mindset of the agents and their clients should learn that this is really a touring product all year round. We can even do that Northern Lights via Scandinavia as well as Norway. It doesn't just have to be that 12 days.
Quite an education piece to
Absolutely.
do, I think, initially.
Yeah.
When we spoke to Daniel, he talked about how for the heritage, the Norwegian coastal product, which we mustn't keep calling it that, just the Hurtigruten product. But it was a bit of a 50-50 split between trade and direct. Do you see that continuing?
In the short term, probably, while we kind of sort out the full strategy and get the team strength right. And really, historically, we've seen that trend, and we think it's because, back to what I said earlier, that as a coastal product, people don't really know where to put it in our own travel agent portfolio. It doesn't really fit in cruise, and where do we put it? So again, it's down to us to educate, to go, actually, this is your client demographic. Come out with the age groups, the media consumption, all of the profiling that can then help the agent go, I get it. I know that these are the people. And I think historically people, from a consumer point of view, have found us via word of mouth or know the brand, and they booked it direct. And that's because we need to do more education for the trade to go, this is your opportunity.
So that they're presenting it as an option.
Yeah.
Okay. And now Daniel also talked about for the expedition brand HX that there would be more fam trips, training, sort of support material, and also commercial terms would be enhanced for agents selling the expedition product. So what's your plan across all those things for the trade?
I would say very similar. So the first step for us, as we've already just identified, is education. We've got to keep it simple because we've got quite a lean team at the moment. So we've got to work with those that we've kind of got the relationship with while we understand and find those new people. And the good thing is we already pay a very good commission, and we pay it across all elements of the holidays, whether it's the flights, hotels, etc. But the earning opportunity with us is massive. So we can be very agile with how we offer bonus commissions, incentives, fam trips. So really, again, that's our strategy as we move forward. those that want to work with us and we can find opportunities to get to their database, educate their team, educate their clients, then there's an absolute opportunity to earn a lot of commission.
Good, all right, it sounds very exciting. Well, we'll give the final word to you, Hedda. I'm conscious of your time because you've got a lot of agents, I think, and people to see while you're over here. But you talked how sales were going well and the new product was selling well. But just generally, I know we've had the difficult few years with COVID, but how sales and demand, is it sort of back to where it was previously? And what are your sort of thoughts for next year? Are you confident?
Yes, I am, and I'm very happy to sit here and say that 2023 will be a very good and robust year for us. And after challenging years, it's great to see people want to travel again. I think Norway and Norwegian coast and the Hurtigruten product really fits to what people want to experience. They kind of the slow and the zen and the Scandinavian and the pureness and the calm and what we can give with the sustainability focus. This is more and more important for our guests as well. So good bookings, good results so far. An important period coming up now to how will 2024 be? It looks so far so good, so I'm very encouraged about the future and very encouraged to be much more in the UK market, meeting trade and partners and guests so that we can accommodate and really make it perfect for them. So optimistic on optimistic note, I must say.
Good. Well, it's so nice to hear after doing lots of interviews for a while that were not so much. So we're delighted and we wish you all the best for it. And you, Anne. I keep putting the pressure on you. You've got those big targets to hit. But I'm sure you'll do it because you say you've got a great team.
Yeah.
And I think, as long as we really explain the split and what it means and all the differences in the products, I think agents will thoroughly get behind it. So we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.